Hello and welcome back to Guilty Gear Lore, Heaven or Hell. I've received a tremendous amount of helpful feedback on episode 1, and I want to thank everyone who reached out. The excitement to learn more about the world of Guilty Gear is real. Thanks to those of you that sent in corrections as well. Keep your eye on the description below, where we'll be listing extra notes pertaining to each episode from now on. Thanks again to Arc System Works for sponsoring the video and verifying every detail. And remember, the latest chapter of this story is coming soon, with Guilty Gear Strive arriving in April 2021. So without further ado, let's keep this thing moving.
Heaven or Hell. Get ready to rock.
The year 2180. Justice is defeated. Many of the remaining gears, now leaderless, have become dormant. Others are hunted down and eliminated. Mankind was finally free from the catastrophic menace brought on by the gears. Before Soul destroys Justice, Kai Kisk confronts her about her evil ways. With a simple rebuttal, Justice explains that she was made by man to kill man, and thus she is merely fulfilling her moral purpose while surviving. From the perspective of a gear, her actions are utterly unclouded. They're all those of justice. Unable to respond, Kai's rigid sense of righteousness fails him for the first time. The idea that perhaps there was no single truth that governed everything would leave him questioning his convictions even many years later. (2180 AD). Cliff Anderson dies during the Second Holy Order tournament. Valiant to the end, Cliff's final return to battle shows his mastery of ki at such a degree that it could temporarily de-age his body, allowing him to fight in his prime. His death is mourned by those closest to him. A Japanese man named Kro Kuruwaba works as a branch chief for the Post-War Administration Bureau. Operating in the shadows, the organization has been gathering deep intel on everyone and everything it can. Using combat data from Kai Kisk, Kro creates an imitation series soldier unit known as Robo-Kai. The Zessen Outrage component goes missing. The Zessen wind fans, a relic of the Crusades, had been located inside of a Japanese colony until their recent disappearance at the hands of Anji Mito, a now missing Japanese colonist. He appears to be only motivated by sheer curiosity and wanderlust. After the Crusades, a group of surviving gears that were able to exist independently of justice secretly gather away from human eyes. They isolate themselves on an island known as the Ganymede Archipelago. Uninterested in humanity, but entirely interested in research, the leader of this group manages to access and observe an alternate world parallel to our own. It will come to be known as the Backyard. 2181 AD, the Placard Company incident. Near London, in the village built atop the Hydra, rumors of gear-related homicides independently attracted both Kai Kisk and Soul Bad Guy to investigate. With help from a peculiar village doctor named Faust, Kai uncovers a conspiracy involving the Placard Corporation, a pharmaceutical company experimenting on villagers with a drug called Vitae. Company president Sebas pushes Vitae as a miracle-curing elixir, but its misleading healing properties are due to people actually being dosed with extracted gear cells that destroy the body. Soul's investigation is interrupted by an enigmatic watcher. The resurrected immortal knight from 1,000 years prior, now known as Raven, appears before him. Bored of life and obsessed with pain, Raven's current mission is to retrieve gear resonance data and return it to his master, the Gearmaker, also known as That Man. After immediately being incinerated by Soul's tyrant Rave, Raven's body rejuvenates and he expresses disappointment at not feeling any warmth. He then ambushes Faust, retrieves the data, and takes his leave. Sebas' true aim is exposed as an attempt to create his own command class gear for military purposes. Using a pair of test subject sisters as a catalyst, he resurrects the Hydra, which destroys the village. With recruited help from Johnny and the Jellyfish Pirates, however, most villagers are evacuated aboard the May ship. Kai, Sol, and Faust handle the threat and use a last resort orbital satellite weapon to annihilate the Hydra. Cornered, Sebas overdoses on Vitae and becomes a gear, but he is quickly destroyed by Kai. The discovery of the Golden Discs. Johnny and May. When an ancient site of old world ruins is uncovered, many opportunists and hustlers flock to it, including Johnny and May, hopeful to get rich on treasures from the pre-Crusade world. They accidentally cross paths with Kai Kisk and his fellow IPF officers, however, on-site confiscating black technology. Kai thanks Johnny and May for their help during the placard incident, but cannot allow them to go as criminal pirates at large. A fight ensues, causing part of the ruins to crumble and reveal an ancient golden data disk. The disk activates a hologram explaining its purpose, a full record of old-world technology, culture, and scientific world knowledge created in 2014. In the stunned commotion, Johnny performs a Mistfinder, cleaving the disc in two, and makes a break for it with May and one half of the disc as the rubble comes down. The Jellyfish Pirates later get a lead on the location of another full disc, but end up baited into a trap set by the assassin Syndicate and Zato One's loyal and infatuated subordinate, a man known as Venom. His attempt to steal the disc fails to the full power of the pirates, however. Johnny, now understanding the danger of the disc, slices it into unrecognizable pieces, giving a shard to each jellyfish pirate as a pendant. Kai and Potemkin. Meanwhile, Kai is en route to turn over his half-disc to HQ. After a brief encounter with Chip Zanoff, Zep airships surround Kai, threatening military action if the relic is not surrendered. He feigns compliance by handing it over, but then sneaks aboard the ship. He is soon caught by Potemkin, who respectfully greets Kai, politely asking that he withdraw. The two discuss the nature of bearing the responsibility of protecting man from itself, but ultimately come to an impasse and choose battle. Kai barely triumphs using his Ride the Lightning technique, staggering Potemkin long enough to grab the relic and flee. But Potemkin and the Zep soldiers give chase. Kai, cornered, points out the dangers of history repeating itself and calls attention to the empty crater they're flying above, an area destroyed by black tech where no life will grow for another century. Potemkin calls it a sin of the past, but cannot concede, because letting him go will result in the IPF simply using the disc to obtain power for themselves. Kai swears to prevent this, even if it costs him his life, which elicits heavy laughter from Potemkin. An IPF rescue ship suddenly closes in, and Kai is able to escape. As they speed away, Kai requests permission from HQ to destroy the disc, but they deny, ordering him to return with it at once. Thinking of Potemkin's words, Kai hesitates. The ship is then attacked and forced to land. Waiting for Kai in the middle of the crater is Sol Bad Guy. Sol and Axel Lowe. During this conflict, Sol had been drinking in a bar when Axel Lowe crashed in with cops on his tail. A bar fight starts, which Sol Bad Guy ends with fire. Axel explains that he was overheard uttering E equals MC squared, a phrase that only people exposed to black tech would know. Sol, concerned about this dangerous development, tracks down the disc to a restaurant where it was pawned off as a decoration to a lively waitress named Jam Cradbury. She helps fight off the final group of Axel's pursuers. Soul activates the disc and operates it to reveal the locations of any functional backup copies. It points him to one partial copy, held by Kai Kisk. Soul and Kai face off in the crater. Soul gets the upper hand, but before anything can be settled, an IPF captain with reinforcements arrives, wielding black tech firearms. Soul is gunned down by bullets. Kai is shocked to see his superior already using the forbidden technology, and realizes Potemkin was right. They can't be trusted. The captain notes Kai's refusal to play along, and takes aim at him as well, but he's interrupted. Soul activates his Dragon Install, an ability allowing him to surge with power from his inner gear beast form. Soul melts through the soldiers, but Kai stops him from killing them, and takes them into custody. With a clear understanding, they each destroy their own golden discs entirely. Testament and the Maiden of the Grove. Through unclear means, Testament survives the end of the Second Holy Order tournament. Though he finds himself free from Justice mind control, he remains a slave of the weight of his sins. He finds his way to the grave of his father, Cliff. While reminiscing, he meets a priest and a young orphan girl named Josephine. She is blind, but hopeful, as she has recently become a patient of Dr. Faust. Without warning, Venom ambushes and takes Josephine hostage, his terms demanding Faust to join the Assassin's Syndicate. Testament fights and saves her, fleeing deep into the nearby grove, known as Hell's Forest. There, Josephine introduces Testament to Dizzy. Innocent and pacifist, Dizzy was found and raised by an old couple in Josephine's village, unaware of her true identity. Command-class gear and daughter of justice. When she grew to adulthood in 3 years, with wings and a tail, the village grew fearful of her, forcing the old couple to abandon her alone in the grove. Her only friend was Josephine, who cannot see, but believes Dizzy to be an angel after touching one of her wings. Venom attacks again, causing Dizzy's shape-shifting wings to awaken. With personalities of their own, Necro, the Blackwing, and Undyne, the Whitewing, will attack to defend Dizzy, whether she wills it or not. Venom gets struck while aiming at Testament, and accidentally hits Josephine. Venom retreats, and they turn their attention towards getting her to a doctor immediately. Faust heals not only Josephine's wounds, but her sight as well. But, seeing Dizzy's body for the first time, she becomes confused. The priest and the villagers, however, upon learning that Dizzy has returned, set fire to the area, yelling, "Burn the demon." Dizzy begins to panic and cower as her wings lose control and the mob closes in. Testament, feeling a deep connection with Dizzy's pain, steps in between her and the villagers and uses his 7th sign attack, non-lethally, with just enough power to stop Necro, Undyne, and the mob. In the shadows, Millia Rage convinces Venom to help save some villagers from the fire. Dizzy approaches Josephine, but gets slapped. Angry and fearful, Josephine calls Dizzy a demon and tells her to go back to the forest. The rest of the villagers join in, chasing them out. Testament swears to Cliff in this moment that he will choose to continue living to protect Dizzy as his sole purpose. Guilty Gear X, by your side. Within a matter of days, word spreads far and wide about the mysterious humanoid gear living in Hell's Forest, somehow still functional in a world without justice. As information spread, so did panic. A report stated, this gear is functioning properly, even though its activity should be inhibited by its lack of leadership. There are no signs of abnormalities or physical damage. It is also noted that no civilians have been harmed either intentionally or accidentally. We've made several attempts to eliminate the gear, but due to its tremendous combat abilities, we've been unsuccessful. The number of casualties has yet to be confirmed. We're currently keeping the gear under surveillance. A gear exerting its own will without justice terrified mankind at the possibility of the emergence of a second command class gear. Furthermore, rumors were spreading that nations were still somehow intent on possessing military-purposed gears. The people were having none of it, however, and took a stand. With the coming of an anti-gear movement, an announcement was made. Whoever brings about the demise of this dreadful gear shall be rewarded with the lofty sum of 500,000 world dollars. Dizzy is described as an impossible being and the strongest gear on Earth, descended from man and demon. The power to rend the earth, burn the heavens, and destroy mankind. The powers that be seek her strength, but all she longs for is contact. Bounty hunters from around the globe begin to congregate in the forest she calls home. A number of familiar faces from the Second Holy Order tournament cross paths in search of the bounty. Some, like Potemkin, are sent in officially on secret orders to escort the target back to Zato. Others, like Kai Kisk, choose to intervene not on behalf of the IPF, but as a civilian bounty hunter. Or Angie Mita, who simply wants to learn more about the world. Each intends to resolve the situation in their own way, but no matter who approaches Hell's Forest, Testament stands ready to greet them. None are allowed to trespass on her holy ground. Gears must die. Dizzy once expressed to Faust that she regretted being born to cause suffering. Faust later comes across Soul Bad Guy and asks if he intends to save Dizzy by ending her life. Soul simply replies, "Gears must die." Faust then asks Soul whether his statement is directed at her or perhaps... Soul eventually makes his way through Hell's Forest to Testament, through Testament, and then to Dizzy. She asks him if a gear's life has any value. He replies that gears are weapons, and so are their hearts. Necro and Undyne awaken and attack Soul, ever protective of their host. As they fight, Necro charges a gamma ray, which Soul immediately recognizes as the same kind of power he faced when fighting Justice. Soul defeats Dizzy, and she asks him to finish her off before she hurts anyone else. Before landing the fatal blow, however, he hesitates. In that moment, Kai steps between them. He expresses that he felt conflicted since the defeat of Justice, but now he is certain. Not all gears are truly evil. Soul accepts Kai's resolve and leaves him to decide. As Soul leaves, Kai is shocked that Soul acknowledged him by his name. Life beyond the grove. Kai tells Dizzy that he believes there's a place in the world beyond that grove that can accept her for who she is. Dizzy is still fearful, recalling the way villagers treated her, but decides to trust Kai. She asks if he can teach her what it means to live as a human, and he accepts. Testament, who Soul also did not kill, is distrustful of humans, but accepts Dizzy's choice to leave the grove. He chooses to remain, to ensure that she can live life off the grid, away from those that would hunt her down. Kai entrusts her to join the Jellyfish Pirates aboard the May ship. Notably, the crew, which is named for each month they joined, finally gets its final member. Jam Cradberry, who witnessed the conclusion of these events while hiding, then went on to claim the bounty for Dizzy's defeat and used the money to open up her own Chinese restaurant. For inexplicable reasons, it burns down shortly after, leaving her in debt for repairs. The Assassin Syndicate. Shortly after the events of Hell's Forest, Zato 1 is killed by Millia Rage. Her complicated feelings of simultaneous admiration and hatred lead her to decide that she needs closure through vengeance. Venom, who would give his own life to save Zato 1, is unable to do so. When Millia finds and kills Zato, she is left feeling hollow inside, unaware that the forbidden beast Eddie was now fully in control of the dead body. With Zato dead, Venom becomes the highest ranking member of the Syndicate. The leader of the isolated independent-type gear colony in the Ganymede archipelago continues his research. Known as Dr. Paradigm, his ability to absorb information and understand world logic is almost unparalleled. After his successful contact with the mysterious reality known as the Backyard, he discovers an isolated structure within it called the Cube. While it isn't clear at this point what it is or how it works, it appears to have been built by that man. Elsewhere, a servant of that man finishes a report on the incident in Hell's Forest. That man, now covered in robes, remarks to himself that it is interesting that there was a daughter, and assigns his servant to monitor her. He then thinks aloud that this has truly created yet another reason to be killed by him.
Yeah.